Hello, friends. Thank you for landing on my YouTube channel, which is SME Doctors. And the tagline for the channel is Uncover Gems. In this episodes, in this series of episodes, we speak about areas that may be of interest to SMEs. We have done various topics, and today the topic is an appraisal system of employees for increments to be paid to employees. Now, when we talk about appraisal in an SME, the first reaction would be that we don't do these kinds of things. We know how the person works. Half the time, we know the person very well. We know him, we know his family, and we have to take care of him. And whatever is best, that increment is given to him. Appraisal is not a part of the process of increasing an employee's salary. This is the scene across SMEs. Is this case in your organization also? If yes, this may be of interest. Now, appraisal system, as you know, is a system by which at a fixed period, maybe half yearly or yearly, a dialogue happens between the subordinate and the superior to evaluate the work that is being done by him and his performance as related to the work assigned to him and the satisfaction that his superior has, and based on which he can be evaluated for higher remuneration or for better job or for higher responsibility, followed by higher payment. Now, this is the purpose, the end purpose for an appraisal. But there is another purpose also, and the purpose is to give a feedback, to give a feedback to the employee, to the person about the work that is assigned to him and his performance versus expectation as expected of him as far as the work is allotted to him. It is a formal process and time needs to be given to the employee telling him that on a particular day at a particular time, the person and his superior, this case maybe the owner, or maybe the owner and his partner, both the owners would sit together and give a feedback and take feedback both ways from the concerned employee. And now let me tell you the advantages of the system. The first advantage is that the employee knows how his performance is being seen and rated by his superior. There are times when the employee feels that he's doing an excellent job, but actually, in the eyes of his superior, he may not be meeting the expectations in terms of performance. And that expectation of performance would be his alertness on the job, his time taken to deliver, his commitment to the job, and his interest in doing more jobs more efficiently and to the satisfaction of his superior. Now, the employee also has an expectation from his superiors. This is a chance given to him to give his feedback. Probably he feels that he's overworked. Probably he feels that he's not being uh, sort of given enough authority or responsibility to do a job. Probably he feels that his needs and wants are not being seen, or rather, they are overlooked at the cost of somebody else. Even if there are two employees, he may feel that one has an advantage over him in spite of his doing a good or a better job as compared to the other person as per his interpretation. There could be various combinations. This appraisal system is the time when all this would come right on the table. In an SME environment, where the employee is either a relative or who has come by a reference or who has been known to the person, the employer, for a long time, would be a challenge by itself. Since it is a challenge, the matter that needs to be conveyed is probably not conveyed or is conveyed in a roundabout way and is kept under the carpet. In the process, what happens? Both sides suffer. And when both sides suffer, who suffers the most? The organization suffers. The firm suffers. The SME owner suffers. Other employees suffer. Because if one person is demotivated, he would spread negative vibes, and this would influence others who are working with him. To avoid all this, again I say, and I'm trying to convince you that an appraisal system is absolutely necessary and doable in an SME environment. To start with, you can start the process, and the appraisal system cannot be just implemented in 1 year. You have to give at least a couple of cycles, maybe a 6 month cycle, maybe a quarterly cycle, or a yearly cycle to ensure that both parties, the employer and the employee, are comfortable doing that, are able to articulate their point of view and convey to each other. Ideally, it may be a good idea to get a third party, an outside party, an HR consultant, to sit with the employee, to sit with the person, address his address the concerns, hear the concerns of the employee and convey to the owner, and then bring out those concerns, those topics at the time of the appraisal. Now, how do you link appraisal with remuneration? Now, this needs to be conveyed in advance. How do you convey that in advance? At the beginning of the year, you share with the employee that this year, for the next 12 months, these are the expectations from the employee. And if he were to meet them on a fair evaluation at the end of the year, he would get an increment of whatever is defined. Everything being equal. Now, if all of a sudden the business does not do well, that also should be conveyed that if the business doesn't do as expected, though X amount has been promised, the same will not be paid. Therefore, in such a case, it should be conveyed that the increment post appraisal could be broken up into two. One will be in normal circumstances an X percentage increase, and the second thereof would be based on the overall performance of the organization. Sometimes it is even advised that even if the company is not doing so well as expected, the employees' expectation should be met if the appraisal conveys that the employee has done his best and he has done what was expected of him. There would be employees who would not have done, and maybe you would have to not remunerate him in the same way as you would remunerate to this person who has done a good job, who has meet the requirements as laid down at the beginning of the year. One of the drawbacks where appraisal is not implemented in an SMA is that at the end of the year, everybody is put on the same scale, and based on the perception of the, or based on the performance of the organization and the whims, and to a great extent on the whims of the owner, a standard increase is given to all employees. Now, this is a story which has to stop, and it will stop once the appraisal system is in place. So, friends, these concepts may look as if they are far-fetched for an SME, but today's SME is likely to become an industry, a large company tomorrow. The foundation has to be strong, and this appraisal system is a foundation that needs to be laid right in the initial phase. At the end of the day, fair play with your internal customer, which is your employee, through an appraisal system, which is a feedback system, which results into increased payout to the employee, is a system which is for the benefit of the organization in the long run. The key word again to close and to repeat is fairness. Fairness in terms of transparency, of being told at the beginning of the year of what is expected, and an honest feedback at the end of the year or at the end of the cycle when a fair and unbiased information, appraisal, evaluation is shared with the employee, and based on that, his remuneration is adjusted accordingly. Oh, friends, this makes sense. Again, it may look far fetched, but this is something that needs to be done for the benefit of the organization and for the employee. So here's the solution and the statement. An appraisal system is a thing which needs to be done immediately, if not in an SME environment. Thank you for watching. See you soon.